as baby boomers continue to get older, Gen X is the next generation, right? Jason Wank talked a little bit about what their needs are compared to baby boomers. And what he made me think about was the subscription model that you're a big fan of. You've talked about that a little bit on some of these posts that you're doing and some of the videos that you do. Actually, you talk about it a lot. It makes a lot of sense. What are the challenges when you implemented that at LifeWorks? That's how you started, right? When you started the firm, however many years ago, that was the main model. If I'm a AUM advisor, how do we think about introducing it or switching over? What could I expect? Do we just do a small dip our toe in? Give me some ideas of how to move to the subscription model if I was interested in that.
Yeah, so I'm going to be, this sounds like I'm just pumping myself, so I apologize, but I'm going to be relaunching the Future of Advice Academy as a shortened 4-week series that'll have a digital recorded version and a live version. But this is something I'm going to spend one whole segment talking about. The first place you have to go, the first thing you have to do is you have to know your unit economics. I did not know that until I started raising capital 2020. I mean, I'd heard of it conceptually, but I didn't actually do it. And this goes to this. Make a list of every service you offer across your firm or your practice. Write it down, detailed description, what's the deliverable? Okay, so I do college planning, I do retirement planning, I do investment service, blah, 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 right? For each service, you need to calculate how many inputs, and let's just say it's human cost, man hours, right? How many hours of time does it take to actually deliver that service? And then you can go back and say, okay, and what am I paying my people? And am I above market? Am I below market? Is there a trend line I have to maybe think about here? So when LifeWorks is starting, we were probably undercompensating our people because we were a startup company. And my goal has been to get everybody at market or above market compensation, right? So if you look at all of your services across your firm, and then you say, what are my deliverables for each of these? How long does it take? That will give you your unit economics, right? Your cost per delivery of service, okay? So nobody ever had this talk with me when I set up my RIA. I don't know why, because this is like business, I'm not gonna say 101, but you can then calculate your break even, right? Fixed cost plus variable cost times the number of units equals my break even pricing. And so if somebody wants to start thinking about offering a business model of the future, which I do believe a fee-for-service subscription-based model is going to be a component. I don't think it's going to fully replace AUM, but it'll be a component. You have to first know, what does it cost me to deliver my services? And if you never move to a subscription-based platform, but now you actually know how you should be pricing your AUM, because the 1% AUM fee covers the sins of a lot of poorly run business decisions that advisors and firms make. Okay? Our larger clients subsidize our smaller clients, and because that revenue stream is not tied to manpower and input hours, it makes us a bit lazy on thinking about our break-even and pricing schedule. So what we came to at LifeWorks is it costs us roughly $1,800 per year to deliver our financial planning offerings, including doing taxes for our clients and delivering them an estate plan. That's just manpower costs. It's about $1,800 a year if all goes well, right? There's gonna be some clients that are a little bit more, some clients a little bit less. So then I can take that number and say, okay, now how much am I going to attribute my overhead costs and running the practice to each client, right? What's my attribution of my fixed costs, right? And I would challenge most advisors and firms, you'll probably come out with a number that's going to shock you because it'll be way lower than what you're actually billing your client.
Interesting.
So if you take median compensation, Investment Dues does benchmarking compensation studies. They're probably the best out there. I've looked all over the place. You can see what is the median comp for a lead advisor, for a senior advisor, for a client service associate, for all these different roles. Let's start there. So most of us need to get really clear on the services we offer, and we can't just say, well, I offer financial planning. Well, how many areas? Well, everything? right? So you have to think about the services you offer and try and chunk them, and then say, what's the deliverable? How long does it take me to do a college funding analysis or a Social Security maximization analysis or a retirement plan, right? And then from there, you can back into what should your fee be. The last component of this, because I've really kind of given a long answer here, but the last component then is thinking about your pricing at scale versus the first client. So if I was to say to you, Dave, you have to do all these things and you have to charge $300 a month, you might say, well, if I only have one client, I'm not even paying the bills. Like, I can't do it for $300 a month. It's like, yeah, I know. That's where you have to do this at a projection and say, how many years does it take to get to where you're at full capacity? And what should your pricing be at full capacity? So a full capacity might be 100 clients per lead advisor. You could then say, okay, 100 clients at $3,000 a year, $4,000 a year for their financial planning fees. That's a $400,000 practice. I'm paying that advisor $150,000, right? Something like this, maybe industry median compensation. Here's where my profit margin would be. So we have to be ready to, invest either by not paying ourselves or by putting capital in, right, to build something like that. But when you think about your unit economics, which starts with the services you provide and getting detailed, the costs of delivering each service, and then what your pricing should be at full capacity, you now have the recipe for saying, well, how do we start and where do we make adjustments? So maybe your pricing starts higher, and then as you get closer to capacity, you can bring everybody's pricing down a little bit to be even more competitive and keep growing. So long answer, but hopefully that's helpful.
If I'm thankful that you're sharing all this info. It's awesome, and I know you're an open book. Can you share a little bit about your first offer in the first call with a client, your model or prospect is, here's our offer. It's subscription based. Are you in or are you out? Mm-hmm. Pretty much, or it's a pretty quick decision, right? A one meeting.
Yes.
And yeah, that sounds good. I'm in. Okay, we're going to do the steps. And we're going to go through the model, which is great. Now, how many of those people decide, you know what? I thought I wanted to do the investments myself. I don't really want to. I like the way you do it, or I just don't want to be thinking about it all the time. I don't want to rebalance. Blah blah blah. How many? I know you can't give exact numbers, but is there a percentage?
It's about 85%. I can get pretty close. It's about 85% over the first 12 months.
And that's it. Also AUM. So you're a blend of subscription and AUM.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
So this wasn't designed to be sales language, but here's what I have in my sales playbook, and our team runs this now, but we believe it. If you're a prospect looking for financial advice, whether it be for retirement or accumulating to it, whatever, what we say is this: look, if you're looking for independent advice from a fiduciary, and you're not being charged a direct fee for that advice from the advisor, you're probably actually not getting advice, you're getting a sales pitch. Now, I know I probably just pissed off like 2/3 of FinTwit and advisors out there. I'm not discrediting any one advisor, but think about this logically for a second. If the only way we actually monetize the most valuable thing we have to offer a client, which is our time and advice, that is the most valuable thing. It is not my investment portfolios. It's not my strategies. I don't care how damn good somebody thinks their investments are. Your investments are not your most valuable thing. If it was, quit being an advisor and go be a hedge fund manager. Like, get really clear on who you are. If investments are your most valuable thing, go be a fund manager, right? Okay. So the simple message to a client is this: it's not perfect and there will always be conflicts. But by us charging you a fee for planning, we become your fiduciary and your advisor day one. I am required to provide you advice that is in your best interest now, both legally and as a matter of ethics, right? And Mr. Client, by the way, I want you to know there's only one or two outcomes in our business model, and they're really, really healthy either way. One, you're going to say, Ron, I loved your team, and you guys did everything you said you were going to do, but the subscription model just isn't for me. And I'm happy, here's 10 places you can go invest your money online for free, or we'll help you find another advisor that maybe has a fee model that fits you. Or two, you say, you know what, everything about your financial planning system, we absolutely love it. We've thought about this a little bit. I don't want to manage my money. I really don't. We get this a lot more actually than I thought we would, where people over time, they build trust with us and they go, you know what, I don't want to do the implementation. And so what do? Then they give us a piece of it, and then they give us another piece of it. And usually within 12 months.
Boomers, Gen X.
And boomers, Gen Xers, millennials. Yep. Across the board. It's ubiquitous. Now, the millennials like this because we're doing things that offer to them, I think, is time, right? The retired person, theoretically, what we tell them is, look, you could go online and you could do all this reading, and you could find spreadsheets and different softwares, and you could piece all this stuff together for yourself. You have nothing but time, you're retired, right? Most of our clients, though, don't want to be the people that go to Home Depot and the do-it-yourselfers. They're like, I want to enjoy my retirement, and I also want to make sure I get it right. If I build this on my own and I get it wrong, and then I have to call the specialist, there isn't a like, well, just knock the house down and rebuild it. You get one shot to get retirement right. So the message to clients, regardless of what an advisor's business model should be one, my value that I bring you is that you have one chance to get it right. We work with hundreds and thousands of clients across our firm, across our team, right? I can bring the collective wisdom of this to you. That's super valuable. Two, I give you back your time. So on the younger end of it, if they're my age, 42, 4 kids, one's in college, 3 are at home, business and all this stuff. My wife said to me the other day, Ron, she goes, do you remember what our estate plan actually says? And I went, well, yeah, we just did it a couple years ago. She's like, no,
Let me
it's
check
been like 7 or 8
wealth.com.
years.
Hold on 1 second. Okay,
right.
sorry.
I had a chuckle. It wasn't there yet, but we were on our flight back from Argentina from our family vacation, and she just kind of like morbidly said, who gets our money if the plane goes down? And I was like, I don't know, we're dead. But then she's like, well, our college kid's at home, so does she get everything? And I'm like, oh, that's a good question. And so like the reality is when you're in the working years and you have kids at home, even the Gen Xers that are starting to be empty nesters, like they are busy. And it's like, oh, did you max out your HSA? No. Did you do your non-deductible IRA contributions? No. Did you make the right choice between Roth or pre? No. Financial planning for people that are in accumulation phase, in my mind, is doing 1,000 little things really, really well that adds up to a valuable number over time. It's picking up pennies, nickels, and dimes in front of a steamroller and doing it consistently. And I just tell clients, you don't want to spend your time doing that. Maybe you do. Maybe you do. But most of the people, when we talk about it, it's like, you don't want to spend 4 hours researching whether you should go the high deductible route or a traditional insurance plan, right? Yeah. And we can help you solve that in a fraction of the time. Right. So I think the subscription model is not right for everybody. As an advisor, you have to have a fundamental belief in the value of planning. Nick Burry talks about this. Most advisors, I think, have a big gap, which is why they're like, I can't sell fee-based planning, or I struggle to bring in clients. It's a belief problem. It's not a lack of people that want it, right? I mean, there's literally 14,000 people a day turning age 65, right? There's 250,000 advisors. I mean, within 1 month, there's a client for each of us, times 10, right? So it's a belief thing. And then it's truly looking at this and saying, who am I building this practice for, right? Am I building it for me, or am I building it for my clients? And if we get really clear in building the business that our clients want and need, then the business model solves itself, right? And if your clients want and need a simple AUM fee and they tell you they want it all wrapped together, like build that for them then. Right? If you're going after young next-gen clients, I think the best way to do it is a subscription offering, because it takes off the table this whole, like, you have to buy insurance from me, you have to move assets to my firm. Like, it frees us up to be advisors. But get really clear on who you're building what for.